Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hustling Sideways podcast. I'm Alan Halas. I'm a music writer.
And I'm Jim Love, and I'm a keynote and motivational speaker.
And this is the Hustling Sideways podcast. We're remote today. We're hanging out in the middle of a hectic week for both of us. And we're talking about the things that side hustlers go through, that we go through with our own side hustles, passion projects. These are the things we talk about when we don't have guests. And as Jim is quick to point out, usually we make them up pretty much on the spot. And that's
We
what we
do.
did today, too.
But that's what side hustlers do. That's how we
Yeah,
operate. So there's nothing wrong with
exactly.
it. I'm okay
Yeah.
to admit it.
Yeah. Jim had a really good one today. So we are going to talk about how do you own your space? And I think we're going to have some kind of different answers on this one, but I'm excited to see what that means for you as opposed to what it means to me in like the media world. So
Absolutely.
Jim, how do
Yeah.
you own your space?
Yeah, this is something that's come up more often recently. So when I used to, go speak somewhere, whether like a conference or a school, whatever it might be, I just kind of rolled with what they gave me and was just like, sure, that's what we're doing it. So, whether that was like they didn't have a good enough sound system or, the seating was different. I just kind of was like, okay, this is what I'm, like I was sort of just happy to be there and like,
Right.
I'm going to make this work with whatever I got. And in the last probably 2 years, which is more recent than I'd care to admit, I'll go into something and if I'm like, I don't love the way this is set up, then I'll recommend they do something else, or I'll bring
Yeah.
my own, stuff. Like a good example is like oftentimes students will be coming into what I'm doing and it's like quiet, like they're just like, oh, come on in, sit down, and I'm like, we need to get music on, like
Right.
let's turn on something. And I really this past weekend one of them popped up where I was like, I had time, I got there like maybe a half hour early and the students weren't coming for like another 20 minutes. So I walked in the room and was, prepping a few things. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put my phone on the microphone and have it play a song when they come in. And it like totally changed the dynamic of what I was about to do. And
I like
in the
that.
past, I would have just been like, sure, they're coming in and like been awkward and been like, hi, like come sit down. And I'm like, you know what? Like this is the environment I want to create and let's make that
Right.
happen. So it was very clear, like, I know what's going to work and what I need to walk into, like, just atmosphere wise. And I now just, do that. And whether or not they ask me, sometimes, a conference will ask me for my recommendation on something or, like how this should go or what the students should do. And I'll give that
Yeah.
if they do. And if they don't, I'm like, hey, like, tell me a little bit about where they're going to be seated or what types of students these are or, how, like what you'll be prepping. And so I sort of drop in advice. But then when I get there, and it's something's in my control, I'll just go ahead and make the change and do it. So it's very much, I know what I want them to be walking into, and that changes the dynamic of it. But it's not something I've done. Like I was not even to say like nervous to do. I just didn't think of it. I'm like, okay, we're here. I just got to make it work. I'm flexible. Let's do it now. I'm like, no, let's make this a
Right.
better environment, and I know how to do that. So that's changed a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, and I would say that probably is also a byproduct of having done it for years and years and
For
years,
sure.
right? Is like
Absolutely.
what is going to at least work on the surface level of like the basic thing, like you said, like okay, if they walk in and sit down and it's silent, like
Hmm.
there
It's
is
not
no
going to work.
atmosphere then,
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
create a setting that is going to be conducive to what you're talking about too, which is really just
Exactly.
kind of like
So
being an expert, man.
yeah, and I'll recommend it, or I'll be like, here's what we need to do. They'll ask me like, what do you need? I used to say I don't need anything, and then now I'm like, I need songs to be playing, or I need this to happen, and it's very very small things, but enough where I know like if I want to be walking into something fun, this is the environment that I want to set it up to, or if I want the student sitting somewhere else, or whatever it is that's in my control. Now I can't like switch rooms, like that's not
Right.
something that I can do, but in the space I have, I can make some good things happen. And before I was just like, well, that kind of sucks, but now we have to just do it. And I'm like, well, it doesn't have to suck. We could just go
Yeah.
and just change it. And I've done that a lot more. So 100%, that is a thing I'm learning more and not afraid to do as we go along.
Yeah, we're gonna be like 5 years away from you like needing like just green M&Ms backstage, and
Right. In the car, it's like Miles, what's it, from Elf, when he cut, like, I need the car to be 72 degrees in a black sedan.
yeah,
Miles Finn.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
you have a full rider like that, like
of
bands
course.
have.
Yeah,
No, but
yeah.
that's really cool, and I think that that is part of like you said, being an expert at what you're doing and having done this for so long. In my case, when it comes
Mhm.
to crafting something that is making it my own, I have my website, and it is
Yeah.
my content, and it is my I have the editorial say over it, right? So I think that was something that it took me a while to understand that that was the value that I had was
Hmm.
I make my website my own in terms of like what content we put out there. It is also something that has been detrimental at times, right? Like I can definitely tell you that there have been times that advertisers or potential advertisers have probably seen my website and there's like a questionable music video on the front page, or like you know what I mean, or a
Yeah,
song that
totally.
just does not fit like what they're
Like, what is
doing.
this here for?
Yeah, but that's what kind of it ultimately makes it unique. And
Yeah,
so I've seen that on the other side too now, obviously with on Milwaukee and my like main job too, is sometimes you do things that you're like, this has got to be advertiser friendly without saying it. Like we don't necessarily bend like that or fold for that, but it
sure.
definitely is like things that you're like, well, is this the kind of thing we want to put out there, right? Whereas
Yeah.
I don't have that filter with my website.
Yep.
Not saying that I
Yep.
go the opposite direction, that I'm like all music videos with weapons and girls all over it, in the that
You
definitely
know
is
how
not the
you
case
are.
either,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like eventually that's not the case. But I'm not afraid to show people like what Milwaukee music is authentically.
Hmm.
And I think that there are a lot of other larger entities that were in that case or are in that case, right? Like there is an entire subgenre of music. There's a couple subgenres and little scenes that, might have not have the most family friendly of music, but it's still art, it's still music, it's still
That's what we
representative of
produce.
what people in Milwaukee are doing.
Yeah.
And I have by not having to like really abide by advertisers or anything like that right now, I can kind of just do my thing.
Hmm.
So that's I think, but that's what I think people relate to is
Yeah,
that
that's right.
it creates something that they feel is authentic and it
I
doesn't feel
agree.
like it's watered down.
That's the most important part. Like you
Mm-hmm.
can't put out some, especially for you. Like you can't put out something that doesn't match what you're trying to promote. And at the end of the day, it's the local music scene. And if this is what it is, then either people want to work with you or they don't, and that's their
Right.
call. But if they do, it's because of what you're representing and standing for. And that's what you have for over 10 years. So I think
Yeah.
it's a good call.
Yeah, and then also in terms of like the live space too, like we
Yeah,
reflect that in being like, how can I put on the most professional show that I can put on,
absolutely,
without having to break the bank on things or
no
really
doubt.
like. But that is also, like you said, like creating something that is going to be an environment that works based on years and years of doing it.
You
So.
just get it right, and you got to like follow your instincts on all this too. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like it's literally go in the airport. If you see something, say something, right? And you're like, okay, this doesn't look right, or this does. Like
Yeah.
this is what it should be doing. And if you are passionate about something, I would say 100% of the time your instincts are going to be correct. And
Yeah.
follow what you think it's going to be because you know it. You know it well. And and by the way, maybe 100, maybe 99% of the time, in that 1% that you're wrong, like you'll just learn from whatever that is, and it's not going to be a big deal. But if you think something should be a certain way and it's what you're going after, then make it that way. Like
Right.
control that part, and especially if you can control it. Now, if you can't, it is what it is. But if you can, have fun with it and make it your own. But that's what makes it a passion and something that's enjoyable. And then you go and you're like, yeah, I am damn good at this, and this is my
Yeah.
suggestion on how to improve it. Be really good at it.
Yeah, and own it for sure. And
That's
yeah,
right.
I like that. That that's well, what we're talking about is how you
That's
own
right.
that space. So
Uh-huh.
I guess we want to know at this point, like how do you own your space, whatever that is, when it comes to your side hustle? Whether that's your product design, whether that's the voice that you have on social media, like how do you own it? So let us know in the comments. Tell us about it. Wherever there's a comment box, they're all over the place now. So, and don't forget, we are the Hustling
Everywhere.
Sideways podcast. You can get us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram, TikTok, all of the places. Just look for the Hustling Sideways podcast. If you want to be a guest and join us here in this room or virtually, you can do that by emailing us at hustlingsideways@gmail.com. And Jim,
Keep on hustling.
we will see you next week.
Peace.